Shane, we're going to take a look at some of your highlights here in just a second here.
We don't have enough time to have it all.
Just a few of your highlights from this past year. But, I mean, we talked about the numbers and the statistical school records that you've been breaking this year. What are some of the highlights this year? And what are some of the most fun individual plays that you've seen so far this year?
Probably one of my favorite runs was against Freedom last week, 77 sweep, having Mike and the rest of the line blocking was amazing, and I just didn't want to go. We just wanted to put it away.
Mm-hmm. Does it get old for you? I mean, some of these runs and the spin moves, and I never get tired of watching you with these long runs, whether it's returning or running out of the backfield or catching and running. It doesn't get old for you?
No, we just like to do it.
And we're going to see, this is the Freedom game that you were talking about.
That run right there is one of the best runs I've seen all year, where you were caught up in a pocket twice. Spun out the second time you spun out and were able to take it all the way. That was one of the best runs I've seen. Yeah, that was a great run.
Thank you.
And what's it like to have this success? Because teams know, I mean, their main goal is to try to stop you. So not only do you have the success that you've been having for 4 years now, but as teams try to develop schemes to try to slow you down, what's it like to still continue to have this success?
It's a blessing, but we have other weapons around me like Dalvin, Trey, and Alec, Walsh, Pash, and they just can't stop one person. The
season this year, there's a lot of highlights. One of the ones I got to ask you about is the Whitehall game.
Cardiac arrest.
Steve already. I was interested in the first quarter of that game because the first 5 games you had were not as challenging as the second 5, I believe, in your schedule. That's just my opinion. But I was curious how you would play in that first quarter, because I've seen very good teams go through a stretch and then not being able to turn it on. Steve, I'll start with you and then get the players. How did you remain focused? Because a lot of the times you had huge leads, so these guys, the starters, only played a half or so. How did you keep them focused and be ready to go right off the bat in that Whitehall game?
I think it was a matter of exactly that. We were telling our kids, the opponents that we beat, their combined record wasn't that good. Yeah. If you wanted to make a niche for yourself, you got to go out and beat a good team. And at that time, I think Whitehall was undefeated. We were both undefeated, playing at Cottingham and so forth. And a lot of it was the kids. A lot of times, I think coaches say too much to their kids, where sometimes you just got to let them go out there and take care of it themselves. Yeah. And that's exactly what they did that night.
Yeah. I'm going to ask Shane about that in a minute, but Mike, I want to start with you, because I thought one of the best compliments a lineman could get, and Joe can disagree with me on this, but I mean, in the second half, they said, we want you guys to just take over the game, take over the line of scrimmage, open things up, and we're just going to run the ball. To have an entire half of just running the ball and relying on the offensive line, you have to be a pretty special group of players to just rely on that. So what was that second half like? And did you get tired running up and down the field that whole game?
No, it's nice when you can just go up and down the field. We wanted to set our goals to dominate the up front, and that's what we did.
And make no mistake, Chris, and we've talked about this a lot of times. I think, Steve, you would agree with this. You're only going to be as good as these guys up front let you be in both offense and defense. Games are won, in my opinion, with those people, and you've got an outstanding group of them, and they're so well coached. They're so well coached that makes all the difference in the world. And then when you combine that with the kind of skill people Easton has, and I mean, they've got among the very best. Man, it's a tough combination to beat.
All right, Shane, what was it like for you? Did you even dream about having 7 touchdowns in a game? I mean, that's a career for a lot of people. 7 touchdowns in one game. What do you think about it, even a couple weeks removed from that?
It's mind-blowing. I didn't even know I had 7 touchdowns at the end of the game. I asked Mike, and he just yelled at me, "You have 7 touchdowns." I was like, that's crazy. And I just couldn't stop thanking the coaches and the line, but they did a terrific job that game.
Was there ever a point in the game where you look up at the scoreboard and said, what the heck's going on here? Because both you and Whitehall had pretty good defenses, and I know there was a lot of special teams and a fumble that factored in there too, so it wasn't all just weakness defensively at all. It was all just kind of weird things that would happen. So what was your mindset during that game?
I couldn't even tell you. Just keep it away from Saquon and Mustafa in the back and play defense.
What would have been some of your highlights so far this year? And what were some of the games that you remember? I know you want to have a lot more highlights coming up, but so far, what games have stuck out in your mind? Dan, we'll start with you.
Well, the Whitehall game, first of all, was absolutely incredible. That was a great game to be a part of. But another game that, I mean, the scoreboard didn't exactly reflect it, but Pleasant Valley game, the opening game, my first varsity start, I scored my first varsity touchdown. I mean, that was really awesome.
Yeah, because you had played a little bit before, and Steve, you do a nice job every year trying to work in players too. But what is it like when you finally get that call as a starter for Easton?
Oh, it's as corny as it sounds, it's like a dream come true. I love it. It doesn't get old, that feeling.
Kyle, what have been some of your highlights this year?
I mean, besides the Whitehall game, I would say the Parkland game this year, coming in with a chip on our shoulder, and I mean, we really gave it all we had in that game.
One of you made a catch at Easton.
They both made catches on
No,
yours.
wait. This is a specific catch, and it was on the 1 yard line. And Trey, he threaded a needle on the 1 yard line, and you didn't score, but you got the ball on a 1. And I forget which one of you it was, but it was one of the best throws he made all year, I thought. It was about a 15, 20-yard throw, and I'm telling you, it was right on the line. Wish I could remember which one. Sorry about it. Yeah, it was one of these two caught it. Oh, yeah. It was a great throw and a great catch.
Kyle, I'm going to ask you about the defense, because I was kind of asking you during the break who likes defense more, and Kyle said the typical Easton answer every time we have you on here: I just like to hit people. So we're going to look at some of the defensive highlights for Easton on our tape here in a moment. But what's it like for you to be a part of this defensive unit?
I mean, it's really an honor to play with this defense. I mean, we're just a bunch of hard-nosed kids, and I mean, we love to, like I said, I think we all have that mentality that we're going to hit someone, and we're going to play as hard as we possibly can.
Yeah, especially early on, you guys were pitching shutouts, and you were averaging like 5 points a game too. I mean, as the game wears on, do you start thinking about let's keep them off the board, let's keep them out of the end zone, even though we're up, just kind of like a pride sake?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, that's definitely going through your head, but I mean, the way we really get through this game, or all of our games, is just taking it play by play and just trying to keep them at the line and take them back as far as we can.
Dan and Steve, I'll ask you about the defense too, because offense always gets mentioned more often. But could you talk a little bit about your defensive unit and the outstanding coaches you have there, and the great job they do year in and year out?
Well, if you're going to talk defense at Easton, you got to talk Doug Powell, our longtime defensive coordinator. And he just does a great job with the game plan. And then Scott Bird with the guys up front, Jeff Brader with the DNs, Joe McIntyre with the secondary. So much of it is accomplished on the practice field. I think that's what people don't realize, is how much time you have to spend drilling on the practice field. And the other thing is, we like to get a shutout every game, but we think it's more important to substitute too. Yeah. So if you get to the position where you think you have the game in hand, to us it's extremely important to get other players there prepared for the next go around, and you never know what's going to happen injury-wise and so forth. But I think that has a lot to do with our success. That maybe, especially a guy like Dan, who didn't start his junior year, but he got in there and he got chances to play. He knew what it's like. Yeah. So to us, it's more important to substitute sometimes. And I'll often hear people talk about the hardest thing is the speed adjustment from freshmen and JVs to playing at the varsity level. Did you benefit from getting that time as a junior and getting your feet wet at the varsity level? And how much did that help you coming into this year?
It helped a lot, because junior year, when I would go and practice against the starting defense and everything. Last year we had a great defense, and I would get reps to get practicing against them, and that really helped me adjust and acclimate to the upper level.